Ooh, I forgot about the microphone. I better point it like this so people can hear me. Let's give it a go. Oh, there's not much space. Oh god. This was a mistake. This was a mistake. Oh. So that was a spider. Video game collecting is becoming weird, and the evidence for that is in this giant pile of games that I'm holding, in the fact that one of these games is very much not like the others. So we're going to talk about the future of game collecting and examine some of these games here, just to see the problems that we're going to kind of face over the next 10 years when it comes to our hobby of hoarding piles of games. For a long time, collecting video games hasn't really changed. We've been buying retro games, and it's really been as simple as getting a physical disc or a cartridge and putting it in the console of choice, maybe a floppy disk and an old floppy disk drive. But the worst worry was scratches on the disc and the game not working, but even then you could clear it up by having a disc resurfaced. And the hardest part really was just finding those obscure games that you never picked up when they came out. For me, I am still looking to pick up the Mario and Sonic Sochi Winter Olympics game on Wii U. Look, just don't ask, but I just have a hankering to play this game. Yes, there's emulation, but it's just not the same as kind of holding that Wii U's dinner tray controller and playing the game on my big TV. I'm gonna scooch forward. Now, video games have been heading towards being all digital for a while, and we've kind of known that. They make you download updates or part of a game at worst to unlock it on your console or the PlayStation Store, whatever it may be. But that's just something we never did in the sort of up until the PS2 era, at least. And before that, the final game was just on the disc or cartridge forever. And if there were issues and glitches, well, it just had to stay that way. And for the longest time, it's been like that. Until recently, when the Switch 2 came under fire for having digital keycards. They give you access to digital versions of a game to download, and it just caused uproar. Because basically, the little cartridge you get... Hey, there's Pokemon in here. The little cartridge you get will download the digital version. So there's nothing actually on the cartridge in the game. That's not all Switch games. Bonanza is all there. But in any case, it's just another kind of nail in the coffin for physical collecting because, well, there's nothing on it. It's a piece of plastic. And, well, we throw enough plastic into the sea and kill the turtles anyway. Then we have to contend with the fact that we've already seen a bunch of games delisted from all these digital stores, and which obviously causes problems for collecting. I mean, one example that just comes to mind is Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, which was delisted from a bunch of stores for years and then came back in a remastered... I don't know. But the recent one is Yakuza 0. Now that it's had a remaster, which is weird because I swear it came out yesterday and I played it, but apparently it's being remastered. And they're delisting all of the original PS4 versions and Xbox One versions, or whatever. Was there an Xbox One version? Have I lost my mind? The versions from the store, so you can only buy the remaster. And that leads me to a culprit that's in this pile of games. And that is this here, Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remaster. Imagine my horror when it dropped through my letterbox in lovely physical form, and I saw this requires content download sign on the front. Well, I just assumed, well, it's the collector's edition. Is it collector's deluxe edition? So it'll just be some DLC or part of the game. It's the whole game. This is just a box, like the Switch 2 keycards, and in here, it's Rido, but you know, whatever. I mean, I'll tell you what, if can you call yourself a game collector if any of your games are actually in the correct boxes? I'm sorry, if they're in the correct boxes, you're a fake, you're a fraud. So imagine my horror as well when there's actually a code in here for the DLC. But then you put the disc in and the disc downloads, let me be precise, 130 gigabytes minimum in a whole download. What's the disc for? There's nothing on the disc. I mean, this is worse than the Switch cards, because at least they're little cards and, you know, you can understand that they activate it. But this is a code in a box, basically, but with a disc in a box. I mean, let's just start with the fact that not only does most of the world have no internet or doesn't have internet that can download 130 gigabytes at the drop of a hat. But what happens when the servers are no longer available? The cool thing about collecting is that we can kind of sit in our nuclear fallout bunkers playing, well, Fallout when the world ends and all of that stuff, and we've got all of our Billy bookcases full of PS2 games, PS1 games, and Atari cartridges, and add whatever thing you want to be a douchebag about in here, and just be like, haha, well, at least I've got a CRT TV and this old console from this. Guys, I'm this is post-recording me here, and yeah, I just noticed that like the little sock thing's coming off my microphone. So yeah, pro job. So like and subscribe. 70s, and like the world's just going to shit around you. But now it's just like, you put this in and it's like, oh yeah, there's no internet anywhere. Or, just the fact that they might decide to switch off digital stores like Nintendo has been known to do. This is all just leading to a place where collecting is just not fun anymore. I mean, please do tell me in, the comments how you are. Is this affecting your collecting habits? It's just, out of this pile of games I have here, there's cool stuff in here, like this Life is Strange Before the Storm. I have 2 of these. They're both sealed. I don't know why I paused for like 10 seconds, but anyway, they're both sealed. They've got stuff in here. I got like the little figures with them. And there's just, I'm sure there's downloads in here. Yeah, it requires some additional downloads. But there's an art book. There's, original soundtrack. There's loads of stuff in these. And like, yeah, they're cool. And collector's editions still exist. And, we still get things like Donkey Kong Bonanza where there are updates. But the game's here. You can just put it in. But we're moving towards, like, I think this Oblivion remaster kind of shows us where we're going. This is Bethesda, owned by Microsoft now, who are obsessed with Game Pass and all things internet and streaming, which nobody cares about. I'm sure there's a few people, but come on, we don't care about it. If you do, get out of here. And, I'm just going through this pile of games. Pokemon, that's fine. We never had this on the original. I've got Splatoon for the 3 on the original Switch here. That was just never a thing. But if Nintendo is moving in that direction, it's a crazy sign. And now we're getting Bethesda games that are a disc with nothing on it. It doesn't feel like, you've got Shenmue there on PS4, a Dreamcast game. That's kind of a cool. What's in here? Hey, is that a poster? Guys, there's a poster in here. Wow. It's just, it's not fun. Collecting isn't fun, knowing there's a billion downloads. It gets to the point where it is obviously designed to make us go digital. But I don't want to go digital. I'm sure you don't want to go digital all the time. And yeah, it's more convenient, but I want. There's nothing better than having a case. Obviously, these are all newer games. All of my retro games are in a case or packed away somewhere because there's just too many for this house. But I foresee a future where, is collecting in 10 years going to be the same? When time moves on and we're done collecting PS1, PS2, Xbox 360, PS3, some older Dreamcast, Mega Drive / Genesis, and all of that. Once we've collected all of that, and we, aside from a few, like I pointed out, the Life is Strange Collector's Edition, apart from Collector's Edition and stuff, in 10 years' time, there's what are we going to collect? Like, do you want to buy this Oblivion case with a disc that has nothing on it in like 10 years' time? You just feel like, no, there's no instruction manuals in these anymore. It all just begs the question, like, is there a point in collecting going forward? Obviously, yes, the older stuff, but like as that all phases out in like 40, 50 years' time, when we're like super old in old folks' home and we're like, ugh, and we're like telling the nurses all our stories and they're just like patting us on the head. The generations after, I'm not talking millennials versus Gen Z here, we're talking, 30, 40 years. Like, what are they going to collect? Are they even going to understand what collecting is? Like, what is the future of collecting? Because at the moment, it's been the same since, whatever, the 50s, 60s, 70s. You go back. I mean, people have collected things since time immemorial. But collecting games has now changed. And it's very much changed, I would say, this year. with the release of the Switch, and now with big companies just pulling there's a nothing on the disc, download 130 gigabytes, please. What is, from now on, a console's obviously, there's a lot of talk about consoles even dying out, not being around, everything's digital, but then we rely on someone else to give us access to our games, and if they decide, as Nintendo has done with many, many eShops, like, I just can't be bothered with the hosting, then, like that, everything's gone. And, with the likes of Game Pass, where you don't really own anything, you're kind of just renting via a subscription, it's very strange, and it puts game collecting in a strange place. And I just never, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, as when the PS4 came out, and really when the PS5 came out even 5 years ago, and the Xbox Series X and stuff, that wasn't really a concern, was it? Because people still like to collect PS4 games, because PS4 was a pretty cool generation. Xbox One, it was, some digital download stuff, but it was just updates. And you didn't have to confirm everything. You didn't have to be always online to log into your EA and Ubisoft and all these accounts. And now we're very much seeing that. So, what is the future of collecting? It looks kind of bleak to me. I'll always love having a shiny box, even if there's no instruction manual. But I think the return on collecting these things is getting less and less and less. Let me know what you think down below.